action. Good morning, everyone.
Morning, everybody. I hope this morning is finding you all well in our current climate. I know that a lot of you have got a lot of things on your plate. We are going to talk about Mother's Day today, but obviously we're going to incorporate some other things around.
Additional stresses to that at the moment.
Additional stresses, which we're not going to ignore, you'd be glad to know. So it'd be different. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Sarah Naish. I'm a therapeutic parent, a doctor of 5 children, former foster parent and author.
Hi, I'm Rosie Jefferies. I'm former child in care and Sarah, which I will now call mum, oldest child that's been therapeutically reparented, and I'm a parent myself that tries to use therapeutic parenting as best as I can. Like you, I have my struggles.
And you're also managing director of NATP,
oh yeah,
aren't you?
yeah.
In your spare time.
In my spare time, yeah. Managing director of NATP and coordinate the training with Inspire.
So how we thought we'd do this today, it's not going to be like really, really long. I think how long will be allocated for it until we run out of words?
Yeah, until we run out of words, run out of questions, change topic really.
Yeah. And we've got somebody I've got Macy keeping an eye on any questions you write. So the first thing I want to say really is that over the years, Mother's Day, what I found while my children were growing up, generally speaking, it can be quite a high pressure time. And I think there's a real problem with our expectations as mums, and some of you might be your first year of being a mum and all that goes with that, and the reality. So I think that what we're trying to do today is some of you will have wonderful Mother's Days and it'll all be great, and some of you will feel a little bit flat and a little bit like, and some of you will have absolutely horrendous time, and we know that because you tell us that. Yeah. So. Yeah. Did you want to add anything to that, Rosie?
And I suppose what I'll be doing today is just inputting the child's view of it and the difficulties they face with Mother's Day, because there's a lot of triggers and reminders and difficulties to overcome for themselves.
And this year, of course, we've got Mother's Day in the middle of the coronavirus
We're doomed
crisis.
Not to have a good one, are we? It's meant to be rubbish.
So that already people's anxieties are up, and you may already be seeing extra layers of behaviour from your children, which I'll touch on later on. So the first thing to bear in mind is think about, as a mum, what do you want to achieve out of the day? So a couple of things that I brought in fairly quickly with my children was that I realised that the main person to make sure I had a nice Mother's Day was actually me, that it was my responsibility. And if somebody else tried to put loads of stuff in to make me a nice Mother's Day, what happened often, the children sabotaged that. I didn't mean to, but they didn't want my attention to be elsewhere. So what I used to do is I used to plan a day when I would have Mother's Day, and it wouldn't be on Mother's Day. It would usually be the day after or the day before. Now, normally I would say, you know, I'd go shopping, have lunch out, and I'd arrange for my other half or a friend to pick the children up, so I had a longer time. At the moment, you may well not be able to go shopping or feel able to do that or want to do that, which is fair enough. So think about something that is within your control that you can plan for perhaps the day after Mother's Day. Now, that might be something as simple as somebody taking the children out for you for a walk while you have an uninterrupted bath, and I know that's really rare. So that's my first bit of advice really, is to make sure that you are doing the planning yourself, so that you're not going to be upset and disappointed if things don't go quite the way you want them to go.
I've already planned mine, so I'm going to go for a dog walk and I'm going to listen to my favourite music uninterrupted. Perfect.
Pretty similar to mine,
yeah, because normally that's the time when I get and actually I'm looking forward to, you know,
uninterrupted time is like gold, as you know. I know that you understand this. So if you can put in some uninterrupted time on Mother's Day, great. I'm just saying that might not happen. Yeah. So have a backup plan. So I used to have it for the day after, which helped me get over that. The other thing that I put in fairly quickly, because I'm aware of Mother's Day itself being a trigger for the children, because what does mother mean? You know, what does that actually mean? And a lot of our children might have guilt and worries about what's happening with their birth mother or or other people in their lives that have fulfilled the role of mother. So you might get quite a lot of rejecting behaviours. So what I used to do is, whatever the children did, say they gave me a card, some homemade cards and daffodils from the garden or whatever, I used to say, oh, it's really lovely. What I'm going to do, because that's so great, I'm going to make you a party tea this afternoon. So because they had that to look forward to, that helped them to stay regulated, and also it was about them. And then during the party tea, I'd say, when they're feeling great and their cortisol levels are low because there's a bit of sugar and all that kind of thing, I'd reinforce that and say, well, I made you this party tea because you gave me these lovely cards and these daffodils. And that reinforces that behaviour, because you do want that to repeat as well.
Well, and Mother's Day, as you've already said, is a huge trigger of, mother, maybe bad memories, bad experiences, and now you're having a good experience of a mother. How do you put into words if your thanks, or should you, and it is a whirlwind of emotions, like all these things you want to say but you can't, because actually that makes you very vulnerable. So you may get children go, yeah, thanks, but I guarantee you inside they're probably thinking much different, because they're scared to share what they're feeling because of being vulnerable. And it's a really horrible feeling, actually. I remember growing up disliking Mother's Day because I wanted to say thank you, I wanted to share thanks, but it almost felt like there was something pulling me back physically that stopped me, because it was so much anxiety around it. It was a reminder that I was adopted. It was a reminder of things like that. And I hated those sort of reminders growing up, because I just wanted to be a normal child. And obviously I have a good mother and I'm really pleased and really thankful, but it was always this kind of like, but she's not your biological mum, and that's really sad and really difficult. Now obviously I don't care, do I? Stuff like that doesn't bother me, because we met a different way and that's allowed and that's fine. But when you're a child, that's really important to you. And the lead up to school, I mean, I've already had a Mother's Day card from my son at preschool. I think they've given it to us early because of impending closures. Because I opened it yesterday, I was like, what's it? I was like, oh, okay, maybe you should have said save it for the weekend. But at school, they were obviously already talking about it and maybe making things so their behaviour's going to escalate, and they're going to have to try and keep that together for a bit longer. Especially children in foster care. It's really sometimes
tricky. They try and set up contact around that as well. I mean, I think Rosie raised a really important point, and I think we have to think about gratefulness and thankfulness, because the whole concept of Mother's Day is, this is a good time for the children to show how much they appreciate mum. That, if you think about it, that is the premise for Mother's Day. Well, realistically, how many of our children have empathy, remorse, and can feel, thankful for things? Well, even at the age of 17, when Rosie wrote me a letter sort of thanking me for everything, I said to her, I don't want you to feel thankful. I appreciate it, but I don't want you to feel thankful, because that would imply that I did something that I didn't have to do or I didn't want to do. And actually, I chose to be a mum. I chose to adopt 5 children. They had nothing to thank me for. I chose that life. I'm not saying it wasn't very difficult, sometimes it was, but I felt that it wasn't my place to expect gratefulness from the children, and I felt that they'd suffered a lot. So having said that, I think that what we crave is the feeling that somebody notices what we're doing, that somebody just realises the scale of the task. It won't be your children who do that until, they're probably grown up. So that's the problem. We're sort of looking in the wrong place for it. So often, we've had a year or 2 years where we've been absolutely exhausted and maybe had health issues. And I know what it's like, relentlessly, every day it's the same thing and the same thing. And there's this kind of magical thinking we have that on Mother's Day the children will see that and get it. Well, they won't. They will not.
Well, or they try to show you through behaviour, and that can only be kept up for so long, can't it?
Yeah. Or they might pretend.
Yeah, I'm going to be a good child, and I'm, going to be, seen and not heard, and all that stuff. It goes out the window by lunchtime.
And I think sometimes we put that expectation on the child. We say to them things like, the thing you can do for me on Mother's Day is not argue. Well, if you do that, you might as well say the best thing to do is argue, because that'll get my attention.
Yeah.
So, what I've found over the years and the feedback I've had from other parents is if we keep it as normal as possible, literally like a normal day, strong routines, don't change it too much, make sure that you have a party tea or a celebration tea that is very much part of all of you as a family, and do your own special thing. The routine, I think, is important, because sometimes I think younger children in particular, they're thinking, well, what is Mother's Day? Is my birth mum coming round? We forget to explain to them really basic stuff. So it's worthwhile sitting down with your child and say, do you know what Mother's Day is? Do you know where it came from? It started as a religious festival, and now they do cards in the shops, and this is what it is. It doesn't mean anything's going to change. It doesn't mean that. So I think it's worthwhile explaining that to children, like, what is Mother's Day? What do we do? Especially if it's your first year. This is how we do Mother's Day. What are your ideas for it? What would you like to do about that?
Do we have any questions, Macy?
Not yet.
Oh, we've just got everyone listening. And
Okay. So what I'm going to do then, while we have your attention, I'll just mention around some of the stuff around the impact of the virus and all the self-isolation that's going to tie in with Mother's Day. So the first thing I would say to you is look at what you can control and can't control. Some of you might have arranged a tea out or a lunch out, or the rest of it, and you're wondering, is that going to happen? My advice, what we've done is we said we're not going, because then we've got certainty. Because even now, at Rosie's age, you need certainty, don't you?
Yeah. So growing up, I was a control freak of absolutely everything, as you'll know from the Rosie Rudy books. As I've grown up, I like to have control of myself, so I'm not too bothered about what happens around me now, but I've noticed I've become Rosie Rudy again. So I'm not being rude, hopefully, and I'm not being nasty.
Prickly, that shell is back, yeah.
So I'm micromanaging absolutely everything and everyone around me, and because it's are we doing this, are we not, we don't know, what is going on, that control is seeping out into other things where it doesn't need to. So we decided that we're just not going to do it, and we're going to celebrate it another day.
Yeah, another day.
And I was like, oh, yeah, well, I don't care about not celebrating it on that day.
Yeah, pressure gone.
And it's like, oh, well, yeah, that's fine. But I can feel, I feel physical anxiety at the moment about certain things, and I almost feel like I'm doing this because my cortisol levels are raising, and I'm getting really anxious about what's going on, because I kind of feel that the government are the parents and we're the children, and it sort of doesn't feel like they're massively in control of what's going on and showing a bit of a chink in their armour. So I feel like, right, well, I need to take charge of this and do that, and obviously I can't take on the government.
So what Rose is describing, bearing in mind that she has been therapeutically parented, she knows she's safe, she's got her thinking brain online, but this cortisol is still popping up and going, danger, danger, because there is constant stuff on the news, constant information changing all the time. So if that's affecting her in that way, imagine the effect it's having on your child, who probably does not understand what's going on. So when she came up to the house the other day and said, I'm not coping with this at all, and told me a few things, that's what we did. I said, okay, stop. What can we control? Let's make some decisions about work, about holidays, about this, and we made all those decisions. So whatever happens, this is what we are doing. And I could see her come down.
Yeah, because I'm not actually anxious about the virus itself.
No.
And I'm obviously aware that it's going to have impact on maybe extended family or elderly families in my family members in my family. So I'm a bit worried about that. But in terms of illness on myself, that actually is not in my brain. It's the wobbles around everything.
It's the changes that happen. Yeah.
And then obviously Mother's Day coming up, I know is always a
pain.
It kind of feels like I've been attacked twice now. Like, as a mother, I don't have a nice time, and then as a former child in care, it does bring up its wobbles now. But I tend to be able to go, oh, be quiet with those, because I'm actually quite secure in my relationship with my mum and that, so doesn't bother me too much. But with pandemics going on, doesn't help it.
Alters things.
So I'm
it sort of goes as a secondary thing, doesn't it? So the important thing, I think, for us as parents is, you know, it's very clear that the more we watch the news, the more stressed we get. When we're watching the news, our faces change. We look worried. We might be saying shush to the children. So don't do that. I honestly would say that don't do it. It's just going to stress you out. I'm not saying don't do it ever, but probably watching it once a day is quite enough. There's a website link that I put onto my video on this page that I did the other day, which just gives you statistics, literally what's happening where. That's very useful because then you don't have to rely on the news. You can just check it whenever you want. It's an updated spreadsheet for all over the world.
It's encounters with other people as well, because you're not going to go, oh, have you seen the news? You're going, oh, have you seen the news?
Yeah,
oh, yeah,
true.
71. Oh no.
So the children will hear those conversations
and your
happening.
facial expressions, whether they even understand what you are on about, they will see worry in your face and stress and fear, and will respond to that.
Most therapeutic parents that I know who have been doing therapeutic parenting for a long time are taking this in their stride. You've got to remember our lives are very different to many people's lives. If you live a life where you have children jumping off high buildings and self-harming and the police coming around every 5 minutes, which some of us absolutely do or did, you do tend to develop high levels of resilience and you can cope with a lot more. So therefore, I'm able to cope with this virus and take things in my stride because I look ahead and go, well, what's changing? Oh, okay, well, what we'll do is that. So I'm doing this with my children, with my staff. What's likely to happen is that. So we'll make this plan, and if we need to change it, we'll change it. So you kind of need to replicate that with your children. I've got this. What we're going to do on Mother's Day is X, Y, Z, because don't pick anything that's out of your control. Pick everything that's within your control. Choose those things. Be giving the message to your children, I am in charge and I've got this. Even if you're feeling like, whoa, I don't know what to do. We do get really good at faking it. Some help that we can give you, which is really important, because at the moment, some of you will be self-isolating with your children, perhaps climbing the walls. Some of you worried that is going to happen. The schools are closing. You're still doing therapeutic parenting on top of all the other things that are going on. And now you're thinking of Mother's Day, or perhaps other people are, and you're thinking, I don't even want it, which is an important thing. If you don't want it, say, can we please postpone Mother's Day? Can we please just not have it? You're allowed to do that. It's your day. If you don't want it, don't have it. I've said that, my mum and I, that's what we've agreed. It's just, forget it. We'll do Mother's Day in the summer when things have calmed down a little bit, hopefully. So practical help we can give you. Members of NATP, remember, we'll put the link underneath, or Macy put the link on for underneath. It's www.naotp.com. You can easily join online, and then you can access loads of help. So some of the things we're going to do is help you with the children. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so feedback would be great, because I don't want to think of going down one route and actually it's not going to help you. So firstly, we thought it'd be really good to do what I want to do, and I'm just going to put some planning in around it, because if I say it, I know it has to happen and we need to then follow through. Is I want to have like a regular time where we're going to have a story time, and I thought what would be really good is if we read our children's books, and then we would have them each day at a certain time. I thought also incorporating some other well-loved children's books, because we don't want to just always remind them that they're traumatised children, and have some normality, and some laughter and some fun.
So if you think that's a good idea, comment below so we can see the sorts of things that you would like.
Definitely. I was thinking about it this morning, about would it be useful to share some fun videos around different craft activities, but then that does depend on what supplies you've got at home, and I appreciate you may
it might not be fun.
Well, yeah.
So half of you now are going, no!
Well, I was thinking more sensory activities, Play-Dohs, globes, edible things, messy plays, because they are horrible.
To get ready before.
And I thought I could get my son to help me make them, and then
that'd be good fun.
Yeah, so I was thinking, if you think it's rubbish, let me know. If you think it's good, I'm happy to do it, because I was thinking last night, something really simple you could do, make jelly up in the fridge, and then the next morning that could be their sensory play.
Yeah.
And it's a great time for you to bond, obviously, because they're experiencing the feeling of the jelly or the different thing we're going to use. It will help them with some sensory issues, and normally that's when children are playing with stuff like that, you can talk to them about things. So that might be a really good time to say about Mother's Day, about what's going on, because they're stimulated by the activity, and obviously not sat down with eye contact with you. And
also importantly, support for parents, because you know, I'm thinking about this time.
That's where I'm stuck.
Yeah, well, I can think what apparently. So Rosie's really good at tapping into what the children need. If Rosie and her team are doing stuff online, entertaining the children, it gives you perhaps a little bit of time to go off and do something that you, or you might even just want to go and sit in the toilet and go. You might want to do that.
Because obviously we never advise really. Well, we do, but you know, not plonk the children in front of the telly. But what I'm hoping is, if I'm reading a book for 20 minutes, that's 20 minutes for you guys to have a cup of tea in peace.
Yeah.
That's my aim with it. And just
so the other thing we're doing with children, obviously normally we are doing training all over the country. We're doing conferences and all of that kind of thing. We've got a whole team of trainers that are really good, and they're all people who are therapeutic parents or former children in care. So what we're doing is we're moving a lot of that. We're going to be doing some sessions for our NATP members virtually. So we'll just be putting some stuff on for you. So if you let us know what you would like, we'll just run some online training that you can access. I mean, at the moment we probably can do it in the day when the children are at school, but we'll probably move it to the evening. And I think that they can access the video anyway, can't they, afterwards, if it's on
Facebook, yes. If we run it through as a live video, no. But we're going to do a bit of mixture of everything, everywhere, for everyone, because not everyone's on Facebook. And also different things that maybe can be on YouTube and things like that. So
so let us know what you think would be useful to you at this time. I think that what I would be doing, the way I would be approaching this if my children were younger, I would have a very strong routine. I'd have my visual timetables up. You've got the holidays coming up. Even if your children aren't home now, you will have, this will happen. Get your visual timetables up. Get them out. Get them outside, because even if you're self-isolating, you're allowed to go for a walk in the woods without speaking, keeping a social distance. So I believe that's right. I mean, that advice might change, but I would be I live in a very remote woods where I can literally go out and see nobody. I would be taking my children out, and
especially if your children are presenting well within themselves, but they have maybe a temperature or a cough, and you know that from your house to the walk and back you will see nobody,
and you get in the car and you go for a drive, because when you're in your car,
medical experts.
No, we're not giving medical advice, but you've got to think outside the box here. Where can I go and what can I do where actually we will not be in contact with anyone? I would be putting my children in the car. I would be driving down to the beach. We'd be driving down to where people aren't parked, getting out the car and running down to the seafront. You can see there's no one around you, but the freedom of being out there in the beach with the sea and all that. Hopefully we'll get some better weather soon as well. So there's quite a lot of things we can do. And I think if we can get our children outside and get them regulated, if you are stuck indoors, it's good for everybody, for sure. So, is there any questions at all, Macy?
Just that everybody's loving the idea of the story times.
Okay, great.
Colleen would like to know more about sensory games that could be played.
Okay, we'll do that as a separate. Well, unless you want to mention that now. Do you want to mention about sensory games, or do you want to do it as a separate?
I will find some.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking,
Sarah Penner's really good at that, and Emma, because we in fact Sarah Penner's already shared some links around sensory play and stuff you can do with the children, home education stuff. Yeah, which we'll put the links up to that.
We've got a question from Julie that's not necessarily about Mother's Day.
Okay.
She said she's preparing a couple of girls to transition to their adopters in the next month.
Yeah.
What is your advice in view of corona worries? I know many children are worried and it's a bad time to transition. What is your view?
I mean, that's just a difficult one, because there's some medical implications to think about with that as well. if you've told the children that they're going and the adopters are well and the children are well, you know, I have to be honest, being devil's advocate here, self-isolation with the adopters, brilliant for bonding.
Yeah.
I would be saying to the adopters, you need to self-isolate so you've seen nobody for 2 weeks before the children move in or you start introductions or whatever, so you know that they haven't got it, and then the children move in and they are just with each other. I mean, it just means that you as a social worker will need to do Skype calls and all that kind of thing. And I think in a way, I mean, every cloud has a silver lining, but if you can cocoon the adopters with the children for the first couple of months, happy days, really. I think the benefits outweigh the disadvantages. Anything else, Macy?
Yeah, Sarah asked, would you introduce sensory play if you don't already do it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. But you probably do it anyway. Without realising, yeah. I mean, even just getting your children doing like, even like playing in the bath, you know, getting them to help you with the washing up. I don't advise it, but it's great if you want to have a cup of tea, just clean the mess up afterwards.
Nearly all the children have sensory issues, and you'll know that by little clues, like when they say something's too hot, when you don't think it is, if they flinch, you know, they jump. That kind of thing. A lot of our children do that. They taste food and they say it's too hot, and you don't think it is too hot. So you can identify the sensory issues that way. I think it's in the A to Z of therapeutic parenting as well.
Luckily, I was a nursery nurse before.
And me.
Yeah. So I've got a whole bank of messy play, sensory play ideas in my head that we can do that are things like...
It'd be great doing that with Arthur on a live stream video, won't it?
I don't think I can do it live. I think I might have to prove... Arthur, what are you doing?
I think that would be good fun.
Well, what I'm thinking is like we can do it a bit... Yeah, so I will pre-measure things out, for example, and then film it and then get him to make it and let's go with the flow.
I'm tuning in.
Yeah, I just thought, A, I need to entertain him. B, you guys need to be entertained. And C, hopefully I think it will give you an activity to take away and to do with your children.
Yeah.
Because I think at the moment everyone's brains have exploded with fear that they can't even remember, you know, those simple things that you would do.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
you're like, I need to entertain the children.
We need to just get back to normal. We need to have a normality about this. If you've got very high levels of anxiety, remember you can contact the Haven and they do havening via Skype for you, and that's I did it on myself actually a couple of days ago because I was getting a bit ludicrous about, you know, everything, and now I'm just really chilled about things, not taking any risk, but I'm not worried. So if you are feeling very anxious and you need to lose some of that anxiety, Macy can put the link to the Haven in the comments below this live video. Or will that go? Will it disappear when we finish?
No, this will be around forever.
Okay, oh great.
Unless if we delete it.
Forever.
Yeah.
Sally said, mine used to love playing in bubbles while helping with the washing up and playing in the bath if hyper really calmed.
Yeah, bubbles are really good. And our top tip we always say is hot tubs.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it's not that warm, if you've got a hot tub, I mean, you can get them reasonably cheaply secondhand as well. They are so brilliant.
But if
for play.
like Macy was saying, the bath.
The bath, yeah.
That does wonders for my son. And he normally tells us to go away because he wants his time. Yeah. And he pulls the curtain shut. And obviously we monitor him and keep him safe. But he is almost 4 because he wants to be in his world, in his play. And he loves it. And he'd be in there till it's cold. And I'm like, come on.
But another little top tip. In the hot tub, if you add some fairy liquid or some washing liquid, it's very funny. It is very funny, and you can have quite a laugh at them. Not very much, switch the bubbles on, but it's quite a good.
We'll be doing that.
And they'll clean afterwards.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Yeah, especially if you get the disinfectant one.
Yeah. Anything else? That's it. Okay. All right then. Well, what we'll do is we'll finish up now, and then we'll keep this video up. And if you want to comment on it and ask questions, we'll keep an eye on it throughout the day, and we'll put our heads together and think about some of the other resources we can bring you. But we will be bringing out some online training for you because this is a changing situation. So as things change and as problems present itself, we will make sure that NATP members remain supported. We're here for you. We are not closing. Our phone will be running throughout whatever happens. and you can contact us in the normal ways and on your Facebook
and
page.
don't forget about all the listener circles.
Yes.
We have been advised that we don't hold the face-to-face ones, so we've upped the amount of virtual ones we've got, which is for everyone anywhere in the world, and we've got them all different time zones.
And they're
for
great.
everyone.
They're great. I joined in one the other day, and you can see everyone's faces on the screen, and everyone's chatting away, and we resolved some big problems that were happening. Probably worth just sharing, actually. One of the things that popped up was a person was saying that their child had suddenly become really violent, and we were able to absolutely tie that down to the fear of the virus, and seeing mum distracted with the news, and that had upped his anxiety, so it had come out in behaviours that had never been seen before. So if you've got some new behaviours in your children around aggression and violence, you can almost be sure that that's why. So bring your anxieties down, fake it till you make it, tell the child what's happening, tell them the facts, and be really clear about that that the children aren't in danger, or they're not thought to be in danger, according to their age and experience. But the main message to give your child is, you're safe, I've got this, I'm in charge, you don't need to worry about that. So I'd be saying to my children, well, you don't need to worry about that, that's grown up stuff, I've got it. You know your children best, you know what they can cope with, but do you know what? These poor kids, a lot of them, they've had enough to cope with in their life. Let's not dump this on them as well. Keep it away from them if you can. Okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. All right then, we'll see you again soon. In happier times.